Best albums of 2025 so far. You know what time it is. Yeah, it's time for the best albums of 2025 so far. Welcome to By Candlelight, beaming goth, darkwave and post-punk straight into your brain. Like mini X-Wing fighters entering the trench of your brain to fire goth torpedoes into the thermal exhaust port leading to the main reactor. Just a little Star Wars reference there. So, it's the middle of 2025, in a way. What have been the best albums released so far this year? Well, I've not heard every single album, but this is my take. Anything that you think is missing from this list, post them down below. So, in no particular order, Heartworms, Glutton for Punishment. So every once in a while, we get those artists that have a foot in the door of goth, but also an elbow in the door of more mainstream music. Being able to achieve that balance is a tough call, but Heartworms, aka Jojo Orm, has achieved that. Sure, this is at the more commercial end of things, but if you really listen to this album, it takes the charm of more mainstream bands such as The Last Dinner Party and kicks it about on the football field of hell for a bit. Play the first two tracks and you'll see how this album manages to transition between the more commercial to something a little more harder edged. Another thing to mention is that this is a one-person band. So this is a singular vision. Add producer Dan Kerry to the mix and then it just brings everything up onto a totally different level. There will, however, be many that dismiss this album as sitting too comfortably on the pop sofa with its feet up on the goth ottoman. I'm not one of those people and I love this album. Pass me the ottoman. Next, I've got Voflesh with Nostalgia. Okay, so I've previously reviewed this one, but it's really crawled under my skin over the last month or so, and it's one that I definitely go back to. Those vocals absolutely drip with darkness, and it's all suspended by that gorgeous reverb. And although synths surround it, the voice is still gorgeously disconnected, yet connected. I think it's just been well recorded. I said it in my review, 1 minute the voice is up front and the next it's hidden underneath the music in a different world, in a different dimension. If you like it synthy, you will do well here. Next, Thin Eater with Thin Eater. Another I've previously reviewed, and would I have discovered them if the band hadn't reached out to ask for a review? Maybe. After a longer while, the tracks on this album sway from being synth focused to guitar focused. And this is a plus point, sat on a big pile of other plus points. Because as well as being strong musically, that charismatic voice is the icing on the cake. And I've been addicted to the last track, Sacrifice, for a couple of weeks now. Saying that, silently quitting at the speed of light is also a high point. Next, Soft Vein with Through Blinds. This list has been quite synthy so far, and here we go again. If the music on this album is expansive, the vocals are anything but. Trapped inside this metallic box in a way that you would expect a new Joy Division album to sound like. The voice is incredibly dynamic against this more polished backdrop. And the lyrics may be dark, but there's this nostalgia to the music that just grabs you and keeps you there in that moment. In Soft Devotion, there's this synth part that sounds a little bit like Question of Lust by Depeche. It's in no way copied, but it still instills that sense of nostalgia. Check out the beautiful Dreaming. Another one of those albums that I keep going back to. Beautiful, otherworldly and heartfelt. Next, I've got Cataphiles, hope I've pronounced that correctly, with Shadow Self. Okay, let's dirty things up with a little bit of deathrock. And this assured second album from Cataphiles will give you what you want. Opener Human suggests another synth band, but Just give it a moment for it to show its true colours. And as you would expect from the subgenre, this album does not drop the pace. Its wild, energetic abandon will blast you in the face. I just did a rhyme. Viewers of the channel will know that I latch onto any deathrock album, follow it home, and then have to deal with the restraining order. To be honest, it's worth it. So if you're like me and deathrock is your bag, seek this one out. Next, I've got Bambara with Birthmarks. With a Nick Cave-esque rasp to the voice and a big dollop of acknowledged goth adjacency, Birthmarks sets out Bambara's stall as being one full of variety. Yeah, okay, tracks like Smoke could be a Bad Seeds ballad, but get to the higher registers in the voice and it's Bad Seeds no more. We get rushes of post-punk on tracks such as Letters from Sing Sing and Pray to Me. But the variety on display here really works in the band's favour, and this has become an addictive album for me. Next, The Discussion, All the Pretty Flowers. All the Pretty Flowers presents most of its vocals in a reverb-drenched cave, and that's fine by me. This is melodic stuff, and I found that I really love this album when I play it in its entirety. That's not to say that the tracks can't stand on their own 2 feet. It just builds an atmosphere that lends itself more to a full playthrough. Even the more direct tracks, such as In Death and Life and Desire, don't burst through that cocoon that the album generates. This one definitely gets more under your skin with each play. Next, I've got Nature's Mortars with Blind Submission. Another dive into deathrock. Can you actually dive into deathrock? It's more of a slither into deathrock. Maybe have a shower after. This slaps you in the face with Liar's Web, but then meanders into Split like a snake looking for a warm home. This album is exhilarating, and despite it only coming in at 8 tracks, it's quality. You can hear the Roz influence on tracks like Body Horror, but generally they make deathrock their own on this one. And you do have to keep reminding yourself that this is a new album, not one released in the early 80s. Next, Projector Fires with Projector Fires. You can probably tell from the cover that this is claustrophobic stuff. This is very much bass and lead guitar driven with heavily affected vocals. This album sprinkles post-punk all over you and doesn't wash it off. It just walks off. In a similar way to the Discussion album I mentioned earlier, this one works so much better when it's played in its entirety. And it is difficult to pick out individual tracks as highlights, but that's not a criticism. After all, I wouldn't have included it on this list if it wasn't great. It may look short at 7 tracks, but there are a few songs that go past the 6-minute mark. I'm just working it out. So the album comes in at about 36 minutes in length. Overall, an absorbing listen. Finally, I have Coffin Convert to Nihilism. Love this album. It's largely subdued, but with the guitar pushed really forward in the mix. You can really feel the emotional pain in that voice as it tries to negotiate those angular guitars. A real high point for me is Twisted Roads of a Lost Echo. Also, Enchanted Kiss. Forget that. Listen to all of it. The only criticism I have is that the last track, Death of a Lunatic, seems to have different production values to the rest of the album, and that just breaks the spell a little bit. But overall, this is a gem of an album. So those are my best albums of 2025 so far. Did I miss any? I may not have heard them, so leave a comment down below. I'll leave Bandcamps and websites and other incantations in the description. As ever, please do check out these albums and bands and try and support them if you can. Stay out of trouble, don't talk to any strangers, and I'll see you on the next one. Until next time, see you later.